Hey everyone, this is Rob from StageandSky.com, and we need to talk about marriage and whether monogamy is still possible in today's current culture, right? So those who don't know, what's been in the news recently is that there have been back-to-back instances of adultery and cheating, mainly from the men. We had the Celtics head coach who basically cheated on Nia Long, and of course I talked to my dad about that yesterday because that was his crush. I hope his wife didn't see this. But yeah, he cheated on Nia Long with a staffer from the Celtics organization, so he was suspended for the whole season, I heard. Then another one is that we had Adam Levine. Adam Levine was married, and apparently he either slid into someone's DMs or actually cheated on his wife with Instagram models. And even before that, I was watching a video about Jason Derulo's baby mama, mother of his child. Basically went to Instagram and said, I just want a family, and she can't take Jason Derulo cheating on her, so and it begs the question of why are men cheating? I'm not going to get into that because we all know why men and women cheat. But what I really want to focus on is monogamy still possible in today's current culture? Can you be married to someone or be in a long-term relationship with them and not worry about them cheating? Now, the answer is obviously yes. That happens all the time. We all know couples who have been married for 20, 40 years. And even if they get divorced, sometimes, I won't say usually, I don't know the stats on that, it's not because of cheating, it's because they fall out of love with each other. Of course, I'm not going to get into my problem with that because I'm speaking from a biblical worldview. So why then are we thinking about, is monogamy even possible in today's current culture? Because even before the headlines of these people cheating, these men cheating on their wives and girlfriends, it's been talked about in the red pill space, in the Manosphere space. For those who don't know what the red pill Manosphere space is, it's basically an online community of men. If you go to Wikipedia and you type in Manosphere, it'll call it, it's a group of incels and women hating men. We're not. We're just men who are talking about our honest opinions that, if we went on the news or we went on live TV, we'll be slammed and shamed and called all kinds of labels when we're not. We love women. A lot of us love women. You'll have outliers in every group, right? Christians, you have outliers. Even when it comes to feminists, you have outliers who take it to the extreme and they actually do hate blank. All right, so Kevin Samuels, I had to bring his name up because Kevin Samuels, when he was alive, and even, I want to say his disciples, but some of his, Fresh and Fit, mainly Myron Gaines, I've heard time and time again say, because women apparently want high-value men. And what's a high-value man? The way Kevin Samuels used to describe it was, a high-value man is someone who's making over 6 figures, who has a network of community in his community, and he's a man of status, resources, and all that. And that's what women want, particularly black women. And, he basically encouraged men to be high-value and women to go for, women would call into the show, he'd ask them, what do you want? And they say high value, that definition of a high value. And what kind of bothered me about that is because Kevin Samuels, he comes from a Christian background. Anyone who comes from the Christian background and know the scriptures, and yet you don't stick to the scriptures and teach the people the truth. So if someone said, oh, this is the kind of man I want, I would listen to that. And then if I really care about the person, I would say, okay, I hear what you want, but is that really good for you? Because here's what Kevin Samuels did. And for those who, because I have some people who follow my blog, and we got into it when Kevin Samuels died, because I'm like, man, that was a heavy blow. And no, Kevin Samuels was spitting toxic. I'm like, I didn't want to hear it. But here is something that I disagree with Kevin Samuels and Myron Gaines and those in the Manosphere community who pushed this notion. They said that a high-value man doesn't cheat, he's only exercising his options.
If she wants a certain type of man, she has to accept cheating because she's built like Emmett Smith.
Yeah, I think that's really shortening up everything I say.
It's definitely shortening it.
Absolutely. So, the conversation you're talking about, I didn't say you have to accept cheating. What I said is high-value men have options. They don't cheat, they exercise options. Kind of like what Bill Gates showed us. I don't think many people can say they're richer than Bill Gates, and Melinda accepted it just fine.
And what's sadder still, because obviously that sounds like, oh, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. What's sadder still is that when Kevin Samuels used to have these conversations with the women, mainly black women, it got to the point where it sounded like a lot of the ladies he was talking to, they were coming to terms with the fact that they just have to accept that. Even Myron Gaines, to this day on his Fresh and Fit podcast, and he have all these ladies on the show, he would basically tell them, if you want a high value man, you have to accept the fact that he's going to cheat on you. He's going to exercise his options and date around and have sex. And I'd call bullshit, man. Like, I really do. And yeah, I'm speaking from a place that, because I'm not high value by that definition. You know, I don't make six figures. I don't have a high network of, you know, boss players around me. And if I did, but here's the deal. This is what I really want to hammer home. If I was making six figures, if I did have a network, and if I did have options around me, I would not cheat. Rock, you don't know that. Yes, I do. Men and women who are past a certain age where they've put themselves out of their comfort zone enough, where they've tried things and said, oh, you know, like people have pushed us, hey, you need to try this. You know, you never know until you knock it. When you do that enough times, you come to know yourself, who you are, right? And one of the things about myself, and I think I can speak for men who are like me and women who are like me, is that a lot of us have principles. That's the main thing I wanted to get across. Men of principles. I would say Christianity is my principles. I don't want to make this too religious, because I think I would urge people to be Christians and read the Bible for yourself. But to stay on the topic for the world, because I want to help as many people as possible with this video, it's about the principles, right? You don't cheat on someone that you're in a relationship with. If you don't want to be in a relationship with them, you get out of the relationship. You don't keep the person and then cheat because you're afraid of being alone. And that's what happens a lot of the times, right? A couple of days ago, I saw a video of, like, it was a couple of women from California, and they're on this podcast, and we're talking about the hookup culture. That's a problem, all right? In this video, they're saying, oh, well, you know, I want a traditional relationship, but all I keep finding are all these Chads and Tyrones, and they keep coming over, and when you know they come over, they just want to smash, and, you know, and if you don't smash and you don't lose them, then you lose them. You know, like, this is what I want to tell people. It's like, men and women, you're more valuable than you think. You know, especially young, beautiful women. You know, like, your body's sex is, I want to say, it's a prize. It's a carrot at the end of the stick. You know, and if a man wants that from you, you need to be like, hey, if you want this, put a ring on this finger. You know, but because we have the hookup culture where everyone's having sex before they even get married, there's this saying, why buy the cow when you already have the milk? It's horrible that we even have this mentality. Anyone with principles would tell you, okay, well, I'm having sex with her, I need to marry, I need to do what's right. You know, even when in the black community, you know, like if you have a child with someone, because a lot of women think this mentality where if you have a child with a man, he's gonna stay, you know, focused to you, he's gonna stay committed to you, and when that's not the case. Jay Fizzle is a rapper I just heard about. And it's funny is I don't even know his songs. I just know of him because he has 14 baby mamas. You know, and it's like, I'm looking at those women, you know, because very often you hear one of the complaints from women is that, oh, well, you know, when it comes to single parent households and the children growing up and having a whole bunch of problems because they don't have the fatherly influence, they'll say, well, what about the men? What about the men? Where are the men? Why aren't they sticking around? Well, here you have Jay Fizzle, and he's sticking around with all 14 of his baby mamas. Now, you got to figure by the 6th or 7th one, the ladies have to be talking and be like, you know what? This guy's probably not responsible, you know, but still, 14. And like I said, it speaks to what Kevin Samuels was talking about. Like, if you want a high value man, you have to accept that he's going to cheat. And again, I would encourage anyone who's watching this video, feel free to share, like, give me your comments down below, to have a higher value of yourself. Like, fuck the money. Fuck the money. All right, let me stop cursing. But your value as a human being, your value, your worth, what you bring to another person's life is more valuable than you think. And the problem with the hookup culture is that it devalues you as a person, because you're giving your body and you're giving that which men want so easily, because he's Chad and Tyrone, because he's 6'5", because he's a baseball player, because he has a blue check. That's not good, you know. And I want to add one more last thing, because very often for us men, we're very susceptible to, like, oh, well, that's part of culture. That's just who we are. It's in a man's nature to have sex. In the Bible, there's polygamy. In the Bible, there was polygamy, but God never condones it. It's history, right? And in the Bible, when it talks about polygamy, when it brings up the instances of polygamy, it's never a happy ever after story, you know? Like, there's always ends in disaster. King David, King Solomon, if you look at their stories, they did have polygamy. King David had over 8 wives. King Solomon had over 700 wives and concubines. Their story ends in tragedy, you know. So polygamy is in the Bible, but God never condones it. right? But one thing I want to hammer home for my secular people out there is this notion of, because it's in our culture, or it's just our nature, it's in our DNA. And I think that when people hear that, it's sort of like that gives them license to forget what's right, wrong, forget the principles, forget morality. It's just in my nature, right? Eddie Murphy. Anyone who's seen Eddie Murphy Raw knows exactly where I'm going with this. Eddie Murphy, when I was 18, and this is the first time I saw this, so it was about 2004, even though the video came out, or the stand-up special was from the 80s. He basically said,
let me hear the men clap. Let me hear the men clap that are loyal to their women. Stop. You lying motherfuckers, stop. Stop. No such thing as loyal men. Ladies, do not be fooled. I know some men have some strong raps and I'll have you believing it. No loyal men. All men fuck other women. We are low by nature and have to do it. We are men. All men do it. We have to do it. We are men. It is a man thing. Men must find and conquer as much pussy as they can get. Do not think for 2 seconds that you're the only one your man is fucking. He is a man and has to conquer women. I see a lot of you get women out there sitting out and go, not my man. Yes, your man too.
so when you look at that and you hear people laughing, these are our cultural leaders. I was talking to my dad about this yesterday. You know, like the cultural leaders, people want to say, oh, well, it's the parents' responsibility to instill. Yeah, but the cultural leaders don't make it easy on them. You know, parents can only be there so many times or so many hours out of the day. You know, then they're left to their own devices. And now that term, left to their own devices, become literal because everyone has a phone, everyone has a tablet. And as soon as you turn your back, they're putting on headphones from Travis Scott, listening to music from Jay-Z and Beyonce. So they're taking in a message that may not coincide with your biblical or just principles that you grew up with, right? Or that you want to pass down to your children. When you have people like Eddie Murphy saying it's in a man's nature to have sex with as many women, there's a reason why he's saying that, right? He's not just lying, or one would hope he's not just trying to deliberately corrupt society or his audience. But when you're surrounded by a culture where everyone is having sex, all the men are unfaithful, yeah, it makes sense why you'd have that worldview. I grew up, and I think a lot of people grew up in a society, in an environment where we did have stable households. And then where the men did cheat, we didn't praise them, right? There was no, like in Georgia, like Outkast, and then there was the pimp song, and you know, like the pimp culture was so celebrated, especially in the black community. And I think it's awful. You know, it's like we celebrate all these things that are bad for us. I grew up in an environment where, you know, you have two-parent household. You know, my mom divorced, but she married, and, you know, our stepdad was a soldier, and he was still disciplining us, you know, and there was a right and a wrong. Even my real dad, when, you know, he was a big part of my life. When I was 16, I heard rumors about him, and when I heard those rumors about him and infidelity, I wasn't happy. I wasn't saying, oh, you're getting it, Dad. Yeah. You know, I didn't see that, and then because... All right, for those who don't know, a lot of us men we were raised with the white knight mentality. When people say, oh, well, girls don't like nice guys, it stings a little because that's what you should want. And they label nice guys as if this is a bad thing, but more and more men in today's culture, 2022, we're starting to equate that with stable, responsible. So when you say, oh, I don't want a nice guy, or stable and responsible, the girl who gave the interview and said, oh, you know, I do have nice guys around me, but they're not attractive. That's a you problem. People are like that. I'm not trying to sound so harsh when they're that, because when you're young, you don't have the experience to know what's best for you, which is why you should have parents trying to instill that in you, trying to teach you the truth about all that. And if you don't have that, of course, you're going to repeat the cycles. You're going to keep messing up, making mistakes. But that's really what I wanted to get across. You know, monogamy is possible in today's current culture. You just have to find the right person. And when it comes to high value men, there are high value men out there with principles. That's what you need to look for. All right. So yeah, attraction is important. You know, attraction is something, it's the thing that makes you want to get to know the person, because very often you hear people say, oh, just give them a chance. If I'm not attracted to you, I'm not going to give you a chance. And I think it's the same with women. So attraction is important, but it's not the most important thing. And the thing about hookup culture is very often when you are attracted to the person and then you do get to know them, you do see all these red flags. telling you, nope, this isn't the right person. But because you're involved in the hookup culture and you're giving them your body and you're having sex with them, it basically says, you know what, I can deal with those red flags. You know, I can take a chance on them. And it's like, nope, you should have left the relationship. I was telling my little brother that, I was telling my brother this exact thing, you know, because a lot of us guys, we know these people, right? Where they're in relationships and we're like, they're talking about their relationship. Yeah, man, she's no good for me. I'm like, leave the relationship. Simple as that. Nah, man, it's tough because you're having sex, stupid. That's why the hookup culture is so dumb. I know everyone's doing it. I know there's a temptation of, oh man, I'm losing this person. Yeah, well, that's better than paying child support for 18 years with the person that you don't like or want to be with. You know, pick and choose. And again, there's a saying, you know, when you're young, dumb, and full of cum. And I know it sounds awful, but it's like, again, that's why it pays to have good people around you. And better still, it pays to have principles. Even before I picked the Bible, I didn't read the entire Bible until I was 28. Even before then, like, I lost weight. I used to weigh 378 pounds. And it wasn't until I got down to 220 by the age of 26 that I had those options that people say, oh, well, the reason why you're saying that is because you don't have options. Well, when I was 26, I had 3 options at the same time. It was the first time in my life. Oh my God, I can pick from 3. And I had to do the right thing. I didn't want to break any. That's another thing, man. Like, forget principles. Whatever happened to our humanity, you know, like breaking someone's heart, you know, like that's a horrible thing to do to a person. If you say you care and love someone, I get it. There's this fear, you know. It's like, do you break their heart by saying, hey, I don't want to be in a relationship with you? Or do you break their heart when they eventually find out that you're cheating on them? I think you got to do the right thing and say, okay, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. You know, that's better than the betrayal, I think. But I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. For those who are more experienced, that's another reason why I watch the Manosphere and listen to people from the Red Pill communities, because I don't have that much experience, you know. And I don't have that much experience because I don't take chances with people. I'm very much, I see red flags, or, you know, ladies very much, like they tell me more about themselves than they think before we even go out on that first date. And I'm a very busy man, so I can be friends with those people, but chances are I'm like going to back away. Also, I don't play hard to get. So a lot of ladies, you know, oh, well, men like to chase. Not all men. Some men, we got a lot of stuff going on, you know, and the women that we fall for are not the one who are frolicking in woods, trying to play hard to get, trying to play games. No, we're the women who are right there with us, helping us build. And I know that's another thing that's a bad stereotype. They're just saying, ladies, that women don't want to build with you. They don't want to run the race with you. They want to wait at the finish line and then, you know, wait for you there. Not all women are like that. I don't think I'm going to fall for a woman like that. And if I do, it's going to take a lot of convincing for me to think that that woman is marriage material. So even if I, you know, cross the finish line, if I'm getting published and I'm making 6 figures now, and all of a sudden she's in my world, before I even put a ring on her finger, I'm gonna test and just vet the hell out of her. I'm like, okay, do you have the Christian principles? Are you who you say you are? And that's what. And again, I'm not having sex. When I say don't engage in hookup culture, I'm practicing what I preach. I don't engage in hookup culture. I am a 36-year-old virgin who's waiting until marriage to have sex. I don't live in my parents' basement. I own my own home. No STDs. I have an awesome credit score. So we're out there. And I imagine there's females who are out there too. Also, I'm in shape. You know, I box. That's important because all right, I'll tell you this and then I'll stop. But I had when I was 32, you know, I had an aunt who, oh, you're waiting until marriage to have sex? Oh, well, I know someone who would be perfect for you. And I'm like, really? Yeah, she's a born-again virgin. A born-again virgin? What is that? And sure enough, she sends me a picture of a 44-year-old woman with a child, and she's overweight. All right, I'll leave you with that. Anyways, let me know what you think. Let me know in the comment section. Feel free to add what you like. And thanks for listening.